So my hot take is that listening to music is more enjoyable at home than it is out in public.
You mean live? You got to do it over again.
I do have to do it over again. You're true.
My hot take is being naked at home is better than being naked out in public.
Okay, we do have to do that one again.
What?
Hey everyone, welcome back to the next episode of the Artisan series. I'm here with a couple of guests, Tom Gunderson from Savant and Shane Orndorff here from Architechne. And today's topic is the future of living. The topics that we're going to be going over today is the magic of customization, voice, AI, future of smart homes, and then finally the importance of power and how that plays into a home. Now, you guys are probably wondering or noticing there's a bunch of guitars around us here. We're actually switching things up and we're on location here at Savant's in Savage, Minnesota, near our Burnsville location. And this place has been in business since 1967 and actually at this same location since 1982. So we just want to say a thank you to Savant's for having us out here and allowing us to borrow their showroom and then show off a couple of cool guitars to you guys. We're going to give ratings to you guys on each of these guitars. That's what these guys are here for, because myself and a guitar are not real familiar with one another. So this is going to be interesting. Okay, Tom, our first guest.
Yes, sir.
You've been with Savant now for how long?
I've been with Savant for a little over 3 years directly. I've sold Savant since 2007.
Okay.
This is my 30th year in the industry. I spent 24 years in Chicago working at a place very similar to Architechne.
Yeah.
And in 2019, I switched gears and jumped over to the manufacturer's rep side of the business. And then a couple years into that, I had an opportunity to work for Savant, which is exciting because I'd sold their products for so long. It was kind of like, hey, I'm back home again and doing things that I really like to do and do work with. So that's kind of where I've been.
Well, happy 30th anniversary in the
you.
industry. One of the things we ask all of our guests is, what is a piece of tech that got you into the industry?
Oh, so I actually have an answer to that. So my dad's stereo system was a Sansui 771 receiver with a set of Jensen Model 24 loudspeakers.
Yeah.
And like the day I discovered the loudness button on that receiver, like your life changed. Like, oh, where's all that bass? That wasn't the music my dad was playing. And from there, it kind of just grew into, I like this audio thing, let's go into it. And then, of course, more into doing smart homes and home theaters and things like that. But that's the first, and that receiver is still in my mom's basement, and those speakers are actually still in there as well. And they would still work today if you plugged them in.
For those of you out there watching who aren't familiar with what Savant is, Tom, can you give us a real high-level overview of what Savant is?
Absolutely. So Savant is a company that we are the operating system for your home. We are the company that you put on top of all the technology that's around your home to centralize into one easy to operate experience.
An operating system like a computer?
You can think of it that way. So there's all parts of your home have different things that you do. It could be your music system. It could be how you watch TV. It could be how you control your thermostat. It could be how you control your lights. There's all these aspects of it. We're the operating system that, just like your phone has a camera and a microphone and speakers and it has, a place for your earpiece, it all gets centralized around an operating system to make them work together as a unit. That's what Savant does in a nutshell. We are the operating system for the home. We're taking all of these parts and pieces and we're making it that singular experience that customers do want to have. They want to be able to, they enjoy all of these things and they want to be able to do it simply.
So one of the things that I think is going to help end users and people who are interested in potentially getting Savant is, what does the user experience look like for a client with Savant?
That's a great question. And one of the leading beacons or guidelines for Savant is everything we do is based around what is the user experience going to be? How can we be best in class at that and how make that the best interaction of anything available in the marketplace? So we focus on that. So how do you use a Savant home? Well, it can be as simple as a remote control like you've been picking up for years, but it's a Savant remote control where everything is centralized into it. It could be as easy as using an app on your phone or your iPad. And we do have applications for Android and iPhone. Android and Apple, we're agnostic to both. But our system actually kind of lives and works out of the Apple world. Our core operating system actually runs on a Mac piece of hardware. Why? Because it's simply one of the best pieces of hardware out there and very powerful.
Now you've brought up remote, you've brought up an app. One of the common questions we get from clients out there is, do they have to learn a different way to interact with each of those units? And I think that's one of the best parts about Savant when we talk to our clients. And what is that?
So we make sure that that user experience is very, very similar, if not identical, across all the platforms. Whether it's the 8-inch touch panel on the wall or your iPhone or your Android phone, that it's going to be the same user experience, use the same types of gestures and shortcuts that you're used to using on a regular basis, and also empower you to create things in your home that we don't need to actually call Shane or John or anybody Architechne for. Like, it'd be really great if I had a scene where if I push this button, that the lights would change the blue and this TV pops on. We actually have taken the power of that programming and put it into the end user's hands. They can create these scenes on their behalf. They can go in and tailor their music experience so their favorites pop up first. Save their Spotify station they like, save the Sirius XM station, like put it in a way that they interact with it. And we do that per user on system.
I was going to say too that has been one of the most dominant feedback from our clients has been when we're demoing a system for them and we get to that time where we're going to go scenes and they don't really understand what that term means. And then we go down and we do a capture. So I had a client who set the lights how they wanted to for entertainment. They were playing what they wanted to play. The volume was how they wanted it. The shades were in the position that they wanted it in. And all we did was capture the scene and they named it. And they were like, so I'm press this and it's going to bring this atmosphere to my home with one button press. And after that, it was like scene mania. They were like, well, what other things can I do? And that's really the power of Savant.
Well, it's fun when you see that light bulb come on and like, I can do that. And again, we're always pushing and innovating. We didn't talk about voice control. So Savant will absolutely interact with Amazon and Google and do those things. And we're actually now in the process of our next software release where we're bringing in a native Siri integration.
There's no doubt that there's a ton of things that we can do with these home automation systems, and there's a million different options that we can use Savant for. We've all probably seen a bunch of different crazy systems out there, and I know it's going to be hard to pick one, but I want to ask you guys each to give a quick example of what's one of the craziest systems that you guys have seen put together. And I'm going to go first. This is a recent system that I saw, and it was not necessarily a crazy system, but a great use from Savant. So a client built a home that he was using as an Airbnb. The Airbnb had about 10 bedrooms in it, and this home was able to be rented not just to fill all 10 bedrooms, but maybe to only fill 2 or 3 bedrooms at a time. And this whole home was controlled by Savant, and it is able to, the owner is able to send codes to the different guests that are going to be staying at the home that can have access to various things in the home. Say the homeowner wants them to only have access to rooms 1, 2, and 3, and to listen to music and turn on the TVs, but doesn't want them to have access to the other rooms that they haven't paid for, or things like the thermostat, the camera system. And I thought this was a really great use of a home automation system to be able to shut out certain doors and yet keep this home available to rent out for a bunch of different purposes. I thought it was a really smart way of doing it.
I remember very clearly a system that I saw that was primarily focused on the outdoor space. But if you look at the outdoor space during the day, you wouldn't have, obviously they had a pool and they had, a gazebo and some things like that. But at nighttime, the back of the garage had a pane of glass that actually could have images projected on it. So inside of the garage, with one touch of a button, the projector would come on. It would be a full image on the back of the window, and then all of the landscape lights changed colors, and then the audio was playing surrounding the pool. It was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. And it was another example of that scene, that's something that a Savant user can do. If they have those components in their system, they can do that same thing with one press. Just completely transforms that space.
Very cool. Very cool. Tom,
So I'm
sure.
going to take a left turn off of your guys' examples, which were great. And I'm going to go back to my days as an integrator, some of the things that we did with Savant, besides just like what you're talking about, plenty of applications. And like we put them, I'll give you two examples. The big one I'll save for a second. We did several houses of worship where scenes became a really powerful thing because most houses of worship are volunteers who are running AV systems that a lot of times they don't know what they're doing with. Well, we gave them an iPad and they could literally set up scenes for the different things that were going on during a service. So an usher could easily walk up and just say, oh, baptism, boom. And everything turned on how that's going to be. We completed one. I remember coming back like a couple days later to finish up some stuff and they had like 24 scenes. We never even showed them how to do it. They just figured it out. And to this day, they've never actually called to ask me how to do any of that stuff. It's still in service. And that was from many years ago. For me, the most...
They had someone who knew what they were doing.
Yeah, for me, the most fun project that I ever did with Savant, and this was a big one at the time specifically, we put a gigantic video tiling system with Savant on a railroad car. It was like 27 sources and 24 monitors. And it was just this complete thing that who would ever think that you're doing this? And it was actually a technical railroad car. I was doing stuff for one of the railroads. But they had a problem. They have only these big screens. They got to be able to see 27 different things. So we gave them a system where they could see 9 at a time and change it all from an iPad while they're flying down the rails with Savant. And those cars are actually still in service today too. So it's not just the residential system. We can do all kinds of, if you can think of it, there's probably a way to do it with Savant.
And it just goes to show how important that user experience is.
Yes.
Because it could be for folks that are at church. It could be for your home entertainment system. Or it could be for a technical rail car. And so it's kind of cool how all three of those worlds come together.
Yep.
All right. Well, I want to start playing with and listening to some guitars and evaluating our first one. But before we get into that, Tom, why don't you hit us with your hot take?
Control systems are dead. Home operating systems are vital to your home's future. We're moving into an area where we have the operating system for a home. We're not a control system. A control system was something you needed in the late 90s and the 2000s when you had 5 remote controls to run your TV system. That was a control system. We're an operating system for the home. It is way beyond that. It is as relevant today, if not more relevant today than it was then, because quite honestly, watching TV is pretty simple these days. You can do it really easily. But integrating these all these other things, especially power, like the importance of power, because everything we've talked about today is no fun without power. We're not filming this episode, which is not on film, without power, right? We're not playing guitars without power. It is critically important that we have all the information and have all the control over that we can. So that's my take on the hot take that we have for today.
Hey, great hot take there.
Thank you.
This is our first guitar that we're going to be talking about. And what we're going to do is we're going to rate each of the guitars on which one's our favorite, 1 being the least favorite, 10 being the most favorite, and tell us a little bit of reasons why. So Tom, start us out with what you got there and why you're going to give it the rating you're going to give it.
And we'll start off by saying that none of us are professional guitar players in
No.
this, but we just love music and love guitars. So we went around and kind of picked out, hey, what are the 3 guitars we want to hit on for this episode? So the first one we picked was a Fender Telecaster.
Yeah.
Why did we pick this one? Because it's like really the first electric guitar that Leo Fender had.
Yep.
And he got it right on day one. He literally got it, like the first design was right. And which is, if you're thinking about this guitar has been around since the 50s.
Yep.
And they haven't changed the design of it. Like there's tweaks and colors and different configurations, but it's really kind of a versatile thing. It's also a guitar that you can find in almost every music genre. This is the 70s style pickguard. We've got a Seth Lover humbucker on the neck pickup. I mean, it's just cool, but I think I'll actually play it on the bridge pickup because that's the tone that you know out of a Telecaster. Yeah. So, and it's a cool sunburst, kind of just a traditional Fender.
So you would call this the OG of guitars?
It really is. Yeah, it really is.
Okay.
So we play something?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna
Give us a little riff.
We talked about there's a couple different cool pickups and you can make it sound differently depending on pickups, but the bridge pickup is that's the Telecaster sound.
Yeah.
So I'm a Chicago guy. These are all gonna be blues licks because that's just what I do.
Yeah.
So. just about in tune.
Nice.
So what do we think? Does that invoke any kind of memories we've had of guitars in the past? You've heard that sound before.
Oh yeah, it's punchy.
It's a
I
Swiss
like
Army
that
knife.
amp's got a great, some great reverb on it. Yeah.
It's great.
What do you rate it?
Listen,
1 through 10. You talk about it like it's a 10.
I'm going to give this one a solid 8.
Solid 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
Solid 8.
Okay.
Right. The only thing I would change different on this guitar is I would like a maple fretboard,
Yeah.
but the rosewood's good too.
Okay.
As much as I like the Telecaster, I'm gonna say a 6.
Okay.
Based on at least what I know, what we potentially might be hearing. It's a 6.
Somebody's
for me.
got a favorite predetermined.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to have to give this one a solid 7.5.
7.5. Nice.
You sold it well. It seems like a good option.
If the Savant thing falls through, I might be able to get a job here at Levant's.
You might.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Never know.
It sounds like a good average. Maybe not extreme,
It's okay.
but certainly not low end. All right, so moving on to the second segment on our episode of The Future of Technology. This is diving into voice, AI, and the future of smart homes and where it's going.
When we were at CEDIA, this was a topic that we were talking with Savant about, and they had a really good grasp on how to make it automated, bring the scenes to life. So do you want to share with us just a little bit about some of this
Sure,
data
yeah.
work? And
Obviously, like we said before, we have voice integration, but what you do find with voice integration is it is still training somebody how to use a voice integration. Like it's almost like the voice engine is teaching you how to ask it for things, right? And that's fine. And there's ways where that can be super useful around the house. In my home specifically, pretty much any operation of lights in my home is somebody telling, I have Google versus Alexa, it doesn't matter. Hey Google, turn on the lights in this room. And if I'm in the room with the pod, it knows what to do. Like that part's kind of intuitive. But we want it to get beyond where I have to tell it something. Like you said, it needs to know to do things. Like the system just needs to know that at 11 o'clock at night, I want to make sure the door is locked. So the door is locked. And maybe the first floor lights are shut down except a couple. Yep. It wants to be, when I get home, fire up this scene so that I'm not walking into a dark house, right? Those types of things. And that's where, especially pushing our new frontier into leveraging the power of Siri shortcuts. Like just in some of the testing I have in my home, when I get an email from a certain person, I have a light that turns a certain color, right? Now, it was for testing, but you know what? There's probably practical uses. I'm going to give you a great practical use of that. I have a member of the family who's got to be cautious about going out in the sun. I have a weather station that's integrated with Savant that can change the light by the door different colors depending on the solar rating for that day. So they know before they go outside, ooh, that's red. That means I better make sure I get some extra sunscreen or take the umbrella out.
Yep, that's cool.
Right? I don't have to ask, hey Alexa, should I go outside without sunscreen? Yeah. I just know that, oh, this house is already telling me what to do with that. Or we can, listen, if you can think of a scenario, it can probably be accomplished. Whenever the temperatures get to be above a certain degrees in the summertime, close my window shades.
Yep.
Right? Just that solar heating effect can really play on your energy bill. So why not leverage what you've done?
That colored light example is a really great example, and it's something that speaks to the real magic of customization and automation in a person's home. How close would you say we are to getting to homes being able to anticipate our needs versus actually doing them? And I think that colored light touches on that just a little bit.
Yeah, it touches on it. Obviously, we're getting into the world of what AI can really do for us in meaningful ways. A great example is daylight mode of our lighting system. So Architechne is one of the leaders in lighting category. I mean, you're partnered with a lighting manufacturer directly in-house, which is great. The house can actually alter the brightness and the color temperature of the light throughout the course of the day to match sunlight. So you get that experience, and you don't have to tell it to do it. The system just does that on its own. And we can even let Savant lets the customer tailor that. Maybe they work a different shift and they want it a little brighter later in the day. Go ahead and adjust it. But your home is working for you as opposed to you trying to tell your home what you want. That's the difference.
I think somebody framed it up at the Savant booth around using the example of hey Siri, find me a great tomato sauce recipe. And then it goes, I have a great tomato sauce recipe for you. Are you planning on cooking it now? Yes. All your lights set up in your kitchen. And there's Siri. Siri's already right there.
Yeah, she's right
so just imagine if they even take it a step further and actually give you the recipe and have you track along and things like that. That is really what people are looking for.
And that's a great,
today we don't have that.
Without even knowing it, you have a great segue into another area where we're pushing into as the operating system for home is we are working with GE Monogram Appliances, who's one of the leading appliance manufacturers in the world, makes some really great stuff, on doing automation and operating system integration with the appliances. Why? Because we need meaningful integration there.
Yep.
Like a smart water heater. Oh, what's smart about a water heater, John? It's a water heater. Well, you know, a tank electric water heater can account for 30% of your energy bill. 30% of your energy bill is just on keeping that water warm. GE has a smart water heater. It actually uses water kind of like a battery. It superheats water and mixes coolant, and we won't get too technical, but it allows you to basically store energy in the form of hot water, and then your experience can determine how you use that through the course of the day to lower your energy bill.
Yeah.
Meaningful integration with these other things in the home. So we're like, these are pretty cool. We've got a pizza oven coming that will actually tell you the temperature of the platter, which is actually, if you've ever made pizza,
that's critical.
that is critical to know that, and we're
crust.
going to have that integrated into the operating system.
And to be clear, we can do these things today, right?
Yeah.
For all of our viewers here, tell us some of the things we can do today versus the things we're going to be able to do.
Sure. So today I can ask a voice engine to turn on the lights. Soon you're going to be able to just have them turn on as you approach your house, right? Today I can go and adjust the temperature on a thermostat. Soon we'll be able to do that off of other factors like, well, what time of the day is it going to be? I'm getting home, or am I arriving towards home, or did I leave work? Today I can go and actively look for somebody's email, and then soon I'll actually have something in my house be able to notify me beyond going into my computer and seeing this email came through for somebody. All of these things and stuff that we haven't even imagined yet are coming versus the today of I have to know specifically what I want to tell this thing to do.
We got another guitar coming in.
Look at that.
Well, before we get into the second guitar experiment, Shane, why don't you give us our hot take?
All right. My hot take is consumers really don't truly understand what home automation is. Maybe they're buying it from a big retail store with a young teenager to sell them that little gadget or widget. But true automation is where you can create scenes, customizability at your fingertips.
Tom, tell us a little bit about this guitar here.
This is a Gibson ES335.
Yeah.
It's another one of those Swiss Army knife guitars that are in the world that a lot of players have played, and you can do, again, anything with it. Country, jazz, rock, blues.
Yeah.
If you're back from yesteryear of Eric Clapton's Blues Breakers, he's playing a 335.
Yeah.
Like everybody's used to seeing Clapton play a Stratocaster. In that album, he's playing a 335, right?
Love me some Clapton.
Yeah, so it's a semi-hollow body.
Yeah.
Right, so I can put my finger right in there because there's not just one block of wood.
Careful.
And again, I've got lots of pickups and everything else. I'll try to play close to the same lick. Maybe not. I might just do something completely different. Don't know what I'm going to do yet. We're just going to play.
Just wing it,
and we'll see what happens.
Surprise the audience.
All right. I threw a jazz note in there for you.
You did.
So I was playing the neck pickup, so as opposed to the Stratocaster. So,
Yeah.
I tried to hit a B.B. King lick there, and it just didn't work because I'm not B.B. King.
You know, there's
Could have fooled John.
There's only one king.
What do you think?
Yeah.
I gave you a jazz note.
You know I'm biased to this because I love Gibsons. I mean, just the tone is so rich and warm. 100% going to give this a 9.
For me, I'm going to go with an 8.5 on this one because of the paint job.
Listen, there's nothing like a real 335. Now, I have a 335 at home, so I'm a little bit biased because it's one of my favorite guitars to have. And I never wanted one until I saw Joe Bonamassa play one live. And it was just, he walked out and he hit this thing. He's got his Fender. It just, boom, it hits you in the face like, oh, I got to have that. This is a great example, and I'm going to go ahead with a 9.5 on this one.
Yeah.
Okay. 9.5.
Okay, everyone, so moving into our third segment here of the episode, is talking about the importance of power. Now, this is a cool segment to be talking about. There's a lot of capabilities of power. We've had a lot of clients talk about going off-grid, or that's kind of the buzzword now, going off-grid. But there's really so much more to that. Tom, tell us a little bit about how Savant views power nowadays.
Yeah, power is an extremely important focus for us at Savant. It's a somewhat new category to our clients and our customers in general, but it's not new to us. We've actually been in the power space since roughly 2015, so like it's not new. We knew power was going to be a topic of discussion. Listen, in 2015, you would walk around the streets of Minneapolis. Nobody thought about an EV driving by or saw solar panels on a roof or a wind turbine somewhere. It wasn't in your brain, right? Fast forward to today, you can go to any city. You're probably going to see an EV. You can stop anybody in the street. They're going to have some kind of a discussion. And when we talk about a home, everybody does have an energy strategy. Right? It may be as simple as, hey, I want to put a backup generator in because I want to know that I have power when the power goes out. It's comfort. Like we tease in the industry, but like the second most important utility in the house is internet. Right? The most important is power because we don't have internet without power. Yes, we just put water behind all that because people will find a way to get around the water thing. They don't want to not have internet. Okay, fine. But we need to start with power. So what are those strategies and how do we do that? Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to make that electrical panel smart. The electrical panel hasn't changed in 60 plus years. It's been basically the same thing. You open a gray box and there's black switches, and you know if some outlet doesn't work in your house, you got to go down and find one to flip. Right? That is the experience that just about everybody's nodding their heads, right? So we're used to that. Well, it's time to make that panel smart because everything else we did goes through that panel first. Savant actually has modules that go directly into the same panel you already have. With those modules, we get a couple of really cool things. A, we can see exactly how much energy is being consumed in the house, which is important because maybe we're looking to find a way to lower our electric bill. Or maybe we want to see what are we actually using and maybe I can change my lifestyle to lower that footprint. The other thing we have is control of that load, right? Well, if I control that load, I can do something really simple. Like I know just like Chicago where I'm from, Minneapolis is no different. We have a lot of clients that have homes in other locations. They don't stay here in the winter. I don't know why.
You sure about that?
So what they want to do is they want to make sure that their house is ready when they're gone. Well, how about you can give them the ability that when they leave their house for the winter, they can put their house in a vacation or an away mode that literally disconnects 70% of the things plugged into the house that are just drawing energy for no good reason, costing them money, and those are plugged into the grid. So they're going to be subject to all the voltage changes and spikes. We can literally disconnect them. The beautiful appliances you put in your kitchen are very, very fragile in the world of electronics. Their control boards go bad and nobody thinks, you don't put surge protection and filtering on those. Well, let's just disconnect them when we're not using them and you're not in the home, right? Basic things like that we can do with a smart panel.
Something as an example is I've had clients who are looking to put a backup generator or have solar power or have battery from other brands. And a lot of some of that determining factor is, okay, well, which circuits are we going to give you? And those circuits are going to always have power. But with Savant, you can configure as the user, you can configure which rooms you want power. You can change that, and you also have that dashboard, the power dashboard, that'll show you usages and things like that. And clients are just wowed when they realize that they can change it because you never really know how you're going to be using everything from a power consumption standpoint. Well, Savant puts that at your fingertips.
Yeah. One of the really great things we have going on right now here in the United States is that as part of the Inflation Reduction Act from a couple of years ago, listen, the grid's kind of taxed. All these extra EVs and all these, we feel like we're doing energy efficient things, but we're just putting more load on is what's really happening. So there's encouragement to get us onto solar and battery type solutions. Any of our Savant solutions that include a battery or even just the energy modules qualify for a 30% federal tax rebate. That includes the modules and whatever labor goes along with putting them in, and the electrician's work to do it. So now is a really, really great time to get in there and literally have a third of your system paid for by doing that. John, do you have a hot take for us?
You know, I do have a hot take. So my hot take is, with a music system, listening to music at home is more enjoyable than listening to live music. There are many advantages to listening to music at home as opposed to out in a live venue. You can recreate the sound just as well nowadays. You don't have to deal with all the people that are out there.
You don't have to pay $1,100 for a ticket.
I can go get my popcorn
your
or my
basement?
snacks right from
Yeah.
my kitchen.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a million reasons why.
This is John's hot take.
Whoa. That
Guitar
shook the room
number
when
three.
that dropped
There's a
on
bruise. It's an 87-pound guitar. All right, guitar number 3. This one's kind of fun because
Yeah.
it's we're gonna put it into the vintage category, right?
you. Yeah.
It's a 1975 Les Paul 2550. Do you remember what you said that was for?
Someone told me it was a 72. Am I wrong?
You're wrong.
Yeah.
79. It was a great year. My wife was born in 79, so best year ever.
Great year.
Great year.
Yeah.
So it was the
Good work.
It was the 25th anniversary of Les Paul guitar model, and 50th anniversary of Gibson making instruments. I got that right, I think. Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty sure I got that right. Les Paul's a classic guitar. Again, you can do a lot of things with a Les Paul, but like every rock band you've ever saw had a Les Paul of some sort. And
Yeah.
this one's got a really particularly kind of fun, flamey top to it, and gold hardware. And again, you know you're holding it when you're holding it
Yeah.
because it's there. So we did change up the sound a little bit here because Shane, we're not going to say it might be his favorite without even listening to it.
Yeah. It's my favorite.
But he wanted more Les Paul-y kind of sound, so we threw a little distortion. We turned the gain up just a touch. As our one chain headphones that just flew off his head, that was fantastic. So, and we really didn't actually gain it up. That's one of the, by the way, just a quilter thing. Like normally to get that kind of good gain out of something, you got to have it like tear.
Oh, yeah.
through, like just great amp. So I'm gonna start on this one.
All right.
So it's a classic Les Paul. You can always do great with a Les Paul. It plays great, sounds great. I'm gonna go with a 7.5 on this one because it bruised my leg. But it is actually really, if you're into Les Paul, this is a great example.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. The flame top, I mean, it would be just a welcome addition to the guitar hanger on a wall. So, and gold hardware is always a plus too.
Yeah.
John?
I am going to comment and say that I like the gold. Gold is always,
You love gold?
I like gold. I love
We
gold.
didn't even show the back. Look at that.
And then because I also do like the fact that it bruised you, I'm going to go with a 9.
All right, Shane.
I'm gonna say 10.
I-
I love this body style.
Telepath.
I had this guitar when I was very, very young, the same body style, obviously not the same year. For me, it does everything in all flavors and genres.
Okay, everyone. So great episode today.
Yeah.
Recapping the things we covered today. The magic of customization, voice, AI, the future of technology, and where it's going. Power, Savant, why it's our customization, home automation company of choice, and where they're going. Want to give a quick plug for Savant?
Sure. You can check out all of Savant's products at savant.com. You can check out the Savant Power products at savantpower.com or just find it off the website. Come and see these guys if you're in the Minneapolis or the Rochester or the Sarasota area. You might want to skip Sarasota for a week or so,
Yep.
but get down there at some point. Just a date when we film this. Might be some activities going on down there. We wish everybody well down in Florida.
To be determined
Yeah.
at this current moment.
But listen, these guys are great, so they feel free to see them, and they can definitely give you the education of what a Savant home and a home operating system should be.
Great. Thanks, Tom. Then the last thing we want to tell everybody is go ahead and follow us, like us on YouTube, Instagram, any other social media pages out there.
I just want to say, too, we are so excited. We've had so much feedback from you guys that are watching, so we really appreciate you guys following our channel. This is really fun for us. Until the next episode.